everyone. Thank you for the introduction and thank you for our customers who have joined us today. In this section of the presentation, we'll be talking about BPA, Business Process which stands for Business Process Automation. Uh, this tool, it's an external tool to SAP. We have been using it a lot to automate workflows and make communication between SAP and another tools or softwares automatically. So I'll be talking about during this presentation about the many different things we have been done with this tool, but there are many more that can also be done. I'll be presenting the tool for you, and with that you can have a notion of exactly what you'll be able to do. Okay, so let me share here the tool. This is basically the tool we are talking about, BPA platform for SAP Business One. Then this tool, it comes with many different capabilities here. For example, we have the ability to read events from SAP. Let's say you like every time that a certain user enter a sales order inside SAP to send a message to another user. You can either send an email, you can send you can send an internal message or anything that you like to do reading based on an event of SAP. You can do triggers based on the SMTP or SQL Server or Oracle. Even this tool is used to SAP. You can use it with different databases too. It's not limited to the ones that you can use with SAP Business One. You can run based on the schedules. Let's say I like that to run every morning at 8 a.m. or every Friday or whatever the date or time you define. Or you can do on based on the uh, job trigger. Uh, then you can configure different types of connection through ODBC, through LDB. You can bring data inside of the to inside of SAP from other files. Like let's say you have a provider who sends you in a text file all merchandise that he provided to you, and that on that file you already have the batches that you are going to receive. You can just import that file. We can create a draft of the goods receipts in SAP, and you can just add later, or we can create directly the goods receipt inside of SAP. Or even we can do the same process if you are reading from an XML file. The data connectors then goes, you can connect to different databases. You have the connection to the databases here. You can connect to a web service connector. Let's say you have a provider who has a website, or you have your web store, and this web store has a DI API. You can use this tool also to communicate to that DI API and SAP using this connector. You can, and here are the connectors basically to SAP, which can be done through the API or service layer. You can format the data in different formats. You can get data from database and convert this into XML. So let's say you need to provide to send to a provider of yours or to a customer of yours uh, data from your SAP in an XML format, or let's say every time that you create an invoice to a specific customer, you need that to be converted to XML and send a file to a specific FTP or to a specific email, whatever it is. You can use this tool to generate the XML, or you can get an XML data and get into a record set type. You can format flat files as HTML, format text. You can generate crystal reports. So let's say you like every time that you generate an invoice. SAP has this inside too, okay? But I'm giving you a sample. Every time you generate an AI invoice, you like that invoice to be automatically sent to the customer without having the user have seen the screen of sending email every time that you are inside of SAP. That's a sample, but you can also use, let's say you like to every and last day of the month send a statement to your customers. You can send multiple documents to your customers from inside of SAP, but you need a user to go there and do this. From here, we can automate, so no user will have contact with this. The process will, based on a schedule, will run every last day of the month and send the reports for you. You can transform data and run Microsoft reporting service, so and other things. So here you can set to print a document. Again, you have the ability for that inside of SAP too, to print the document every time that you add an invoice. But let's say you have different conditions here and you like to every time that you generate a document automatically sent to a printer, or you like that you like to save that file, or you like to send to a specific email, then or send to an FTP. You can also here you can execute procedures, you can call different tasks, you can run an external program or execute some VB scripts if you don't find exactly the condition that you need on the tools the tool provide. You can generate that. And then this is basically to manage files, or send files, copy a file from one folder to another, or move files to the different places. So that's basically an overview of all tools that this you can manage with this with BPA. So let me go to a few samples with you and how you can see those working. Okay, so my first sample here will be I have two SAP companies here. I have the Acme demo and I have the consensus demo. Okay, so it's very common that companies have multiple databases, and but the master data between those databases should be the same. In this case, I'll use the sample of item master data. So the in this case here, I'm going to create some item on Acme demo that still does not exist on the consensus demo. Let me call it customer day, and I'll place the same here. Let me go to the other company here under item master data. Make sure it doesn't exist. No, it doesn't. So I'll add this item. So I have a process here. See, it starts to run as soon as I add the item. Okay, and it's still running. It's doing the process to add the item on other company. It shows it as finished. So now if I go to my other company, the consensus demo, and find my item is here. So what was done here basically to make this to work? The process is on this task. So basically, Here is the event reader. So every time and the item is added on the Acme company, I run a query where I get whatever information I like to get, or if I like to set a specific information for that, I can say let's say every time that I create an item in Acme, I like to the item group on consensus demo to be this specific one. Then I can set that on the query. And on the other side, I have here the connector which is connected to the consensus demo company, and will do the mapping. Every information that I receive from this query will go into the other company. So this is a very simple workflow here for that process. L- there is another one that I like to show you working. Let's again, between my two companies here, Acme Demo and Consensus Demo, that's very common. That's an intercompany process when you have multiple databases. So one company generates a purchase order to the other company, and then usually the user has to go to the other company and generate a sales order on that. We can automate that process, that every time you come here on the Acme company and generate a purchase order, it will for a specific vendor, it will generate a sales order on the other side. In this case, I have defined that my default vendor for consensus demo is Matusalem. So I'll generate any purchase order here. Let's say I'm going to buy five of this product, and I from this printer I'll need to buy six. So at the time that I add this on the demo company, Acme demo, another process, see, and now we have another process here running, which adds the document on the other side will be a sales order. So if I go here to my last sales order, hold a second, that's not the last one. So if I go here to my last sales order, this is coming from Mart. That's my customer I have defined it here. If I look, it was just created on, okay. And so this is another process. And how does this process works? It comes here every time that a PO is generated on this demo company. I write something to the logs in case I need to read it later. I do some decision here because I validated only if the vendor is MAT. I do some query to get the data that I need, and I do the mapping from the query to the consensus demo company where I add the data. So this is basically the process for generating sales order based on purchase order. That's I start of the process. Let's say, okay, at some point the consensus demo company will get that sales order and will invoice that to Acme demo. Then we can complete that process. At that point, when the AR invoice is done, we can generate the AP invoice and receive the product on the Acme demo company. This process this process works with can work without any intervention of the user, just based on parameters. Uh, this We have been using this tool a lot for this two process that I showed you. There are many other ones, like you can have intercompany process generating journal entries from one company to another. You can have the generation of files. You can import files. Let's give a sample here. You have external human resources who provides you with a Excel file with all the data for the journal entry you are going to enter for your payroll. You can just grab that file, we generate a process and import that into SAP. You can do that also using standard DTW, but if you're familiar with DTW, you know that you need to generate a header for your file and then the lines, and you need to do the mapping between accounts. Here we have the ability to do that formatting and to do those mappings based on previous definitions, and you don't have to do any touch to the file. Is just receive and import that. So these are some things we can do with the tool, and will be more than happy to answer any question that you may have that can apply to your company. You can feel free to use the question and answers area, the Q&A, to send your questions, and we'll be answering as many as we can.
So Laura is asking where this BPA tool is. It's an external tool, right? Luana, you are on mute, I think, on your headset.
Sorry, I probably
Okay.
pressed the mute button on my mic here. So basically, no, BPA is an external tool to SAP. It does not come with SAP, and but it is integrated to SAP. So, in case you like to have this tool, that's something that needs to be purchased separately. Sure.
Exactly. It's a software add-on. So that means that you need to purchase it separately from SAP, and then Luana will integrate it with SAP and do all those workflows. I wanted to also remind everyone that we did a webinar, and Luana was also the one who presented on that webinar, that it's called "It's Time to Automate" with SAP Business One. There are many automations that you can do only using the tools with SAP Business One, and Luana showed many of those on that webinar. We're going to share the link so that you can visit that webinar. There are different levels of automation. Some of them you can already achieve with the tools that come with SAP Business One. And then when you go to more advanced automation requirements, that's when this tool comes into place. Correct, Luana?
Yeah, that's correct. And as you mentioned, I can do the integrations. We have some more people inside of Consensus that can help you with that. But that's something that if you have someone inside of your company that's familiar with queries, with doing reports, and those things, that's definitely something we can also teach your company to do and keep doing. We have customers who we don't even help them anymore. So it's kind of easy to use once you have some background on queries.
Okay, thank you, Luana. So the next question is, can I use this tool to communicate with my website?
If your website has a DI API, yes, definitely we can make this tool to communicate to that website or any other software that provides an API communication.
Okay, fantastic. So we have one last question. I don't know if you have the answer, Luana. One of our customers is asking, how much does this tool cost? If you don't have that information, we can send it to the customer. I don't remember by heart. So
Yeah, I'll have to if I give, I'm not sure about it's is
okay.
correct. So we probably need better to get back to
Okay,
the
so
customer.
we'll get back to you, Anna, on that, and we'll make sure that you get that quote. So I don't see that we have any other questions.
We do have some on the chat,
Oh,
and
okay. I was gonna check.
that was sent through the chat here.
Okay.
The first question: if I enter a sales order for a specific business partner, can I have an automation email with a copy of the sales order sent to the business partner after I click add on the sales orders. Yes, you can do that based on the configurations that parameters that you defined. Let's say if you have at any place on your business partner that email and you like at the moment you click to send that, yes, you can send that. The other one that I see here is, does BPA platform interact with BEA's advanced manufacturing? That answer, basically, I'll need to get back to you if there is some API connections between BEAS and BPA, but I'm not that familiar to tell you if BEAS allows you to get data into the database. Probably they allow to query, but not insert as many of those. So, but you, as I mentioned before, you can read data basically from any other database that you have access. So I can tell you that you can read data from BEAS and get into SAP, but about getting data from SAP into BEAS, or you can read the data from BEAS and send reports based on that. Yes, that you can do. What you can, I'm not sure if we can send data to BEAS with this tool. That I'll need to get back to you.
Right. I
Uh,
think this, Anastasia has another question. If her organization purchased it, where would we see it? Within SAP Business One?
No, that's not seen from inside of SAP Business One. Usually there is a tool server where you have this installed. We'll need to check exactly for your company that case.
Okay. Okay. So Anastasia, we'll get back to you. Okay,
Yeah.
for your questions. And now I think we don't have any more. I'm sorry, I didn't see the chat before. Thank you so much, Luana.
You're welcome.
And thank you to everyone that joined this session. Remember to join next session. It's a session that has adds a lot of value to all users. So if you already registered, tell your colleagues to join that session, because you can find out tricks and tips that will make your life a lot easier. And that's what we're here for. So thank you again, Luana, and thank you everybody for joining. I hope I'll see you